Hey, this is our LG equipment case presentation. I'm Jesse, Kiara.
Knox.
Jonathan. And Kenneth.
Okay, so for the organization that was analyzed in the case study that we just went over in class, it was LG Equipments Limited, or LG as it's more commonly referred to in the case. And basically, LG is a manufacturing company that's located in India. Originally, the company was a manufacturer for a German company, though, through a licensing agreement. But in 1990, the Indian government got rid of the licensing system in India, as well as getting rid of protectionist barriers, which led to LG becoming its own organization. And it thrived for many reasons, but the main reason was that it had two manufacturing organizations, or operations, sorry. There was one that was focused solely in India that revolved around automotive service equipment. And then there was a global organization that focused on air compressors. And that was really what was more focused on in the case study. It was more about the side of the manufacturing business that focuses on air compressors and the challenges that came along with its expansion since the 1990s. Since the 1990s, it's grown into one of the top 10 biggest air compressor manufacturers, including opening plants in the U.S., in Italy, and in India. And one of its biggest pros, or one of its biggest drawing components towards the organization, is its organizational culture, where it's like very focused on trust, especially within trust from the employees into the head management. And it's really like it's talked about a lot throughout the case, especially when talking about wages, as it's one of its strongest points. The company has always focused on making sure that they pay like a decent amount, pay decently well as provide like a reasonable standard of living. And they've adapted a couple different policies to make sure that they always give their employees that. And yeah, I think that's the most important thing, and it's what's focused on throughout the case.
The central issue in this case is figuring out the best way to determine wages in the different countries that LG Equipments is expanding into. LG's recent growth in the past few decades has allowed for this global expansion of their manufacturing plants. And during this expansion, it will be crucial for them to establish wages in a way that is fair and does not harm their productivity and profitability. Wages can be a tricky thing to establish because it's obviously important for LG to keep making a profit, while also being able to provide their employees with a fair amount of compensation based on their daily contribution and the loyalty that they show to the company. This balance can sometimes be hard to find because if the workers' earnings are set too low, for example, the overall work ethic of the employees could decrease, which can also cause the quality of overall work to decrease. So if the quality of air compressors produced declines, LG Equipment's reputation can be negatively affected by it. Not to mention the fact that if your employees are bought into your company and actually agree with the compensation and benefits that they are receiving, the company will be perceived as a stronger and more cohesive unit. On the other hand, if the employees' wages are set too high, LG Equipment's profit could be reduced. So finding this happy medium balance between the two is imperative. Investing money and resources into the development of new manufacturing locations around the world is obviously a big risk, so LG must make sure that they can optimize the productivity of these new branches by deciding on the most effective method of pay and bonus systems to use. This will be a big decision for LG Equipments to make as they pursue this endeavor of global expansion.
There are three possible solutions for solving the problem of paying the blue-collar workers as LG expands their manufacturing plants into other countries around the world. The first solution is that LG could keep the exact same program and the same amount of money the company uses for paying the blue-collar workers in India and use that in other countries around the world. This would be the simplest option for management because there would be no need to renegotiate terms or package items with the employees of each and every country. Floor workers across countries may see this as the fairest option as well, as they're being paid the exact same no matter what the country. This option could become problematic, though, as the living wage can change for each country due to inflation rates and the average cost of goods. The second option is to keep the same payment model being used in India, but adjust the package items according to the needs of the workers in each and every country. This can be time-consuming for the blue-collar workers as well as for management, but would lead to more satisfaction from the floor workers due to having their own cultural needs met. People have different needs in different cultures and places around the world, so the employees would like to see different items in the packages depending on the culture or area of the world. The employees would not have the exact same wage as others in the same position in other countries, but when adjusted for the cost of living, the wages would really be more similar than if the employees were paid the exact same amount globally. The third option is to decide on a completely new model for paying the blue-collar employees in different countries. The package model may not be as well liked by employees in other countries, and they may opt to see a different model of payment. This option could possibly be the most beneficial for the employees, as not only the payment will be tailored to the employees across countries, but the model of payment as well, allowing each country to discover their own preferred way of payment. This option is also vastly more time-consuming and complicated for both the floor workers and management, and could take up to years to come to a solution in each and every new country.
So from those three solutions, which one is the best? Our team has determined that having a custom basket for every country would be the best way to make sure everybody is satisfied. Because the countries all have different diets. A good example of this is Mexico versus Japan. In Mexico, they eat rice, beans, tortillas, jalapenos, things like that. And in Japan, they don't really eat that. It's more seafood oriented with octopus, squid, fish, noodles. And while they do eat rice, the rice is prepared in a different way and requires different ingredients. And it might as well just be it's a totally different thing, which will inevitably impact the basket cost. Not only that, but different countries prioritize different expenses. An example is some countries, it's almost mandatory to send your son or daughter to college, because without that, they won't find a good job. Well, in other countries, they don't really prioritize higher education. They more prioritize getting a job as soon as possible and making money as soon as possible. I have a personal anecdote about this from my grandfather. My grandfather was one of those people that didn't really value higher education. And while it may take some time to compile this data from blue-collar workers, it's well worth it as the alternative of coming with a new system from scratch. It will take way, way longer. And the other solution of having a one-size-fits-all is just not feasible. Not just for cultural differences, but just the food costing different prices in different countries. A good example of this is watermelons. Here in the States, watermelons cost about $5, give or take. In Japan, they cost upwards of $30. Even pizzas, a simple pizza from Domino's, here, a large, $20. In Japan, $40 for a large pizza. So that's why having a custom basket for every single country would be the best way to motivate our employees and have them perform better at their jobs.
Overall, the company's issue with foreign wages is complex and requires a balanced approach. Making the wages fair across the board as the company expands is an important factor in its profitability. Wages require a strict balance of the consideration of company profitability and fair employee compensation based on their loyalty and contribution. Finding the middle ground motivates employees to be on board and strengthens the company. Looking at the three possible solutions to the problem of paying workers in manufacturing plants around the world as ELGI expands, we determined the company should utilize option 2. This involves having the local employees create a basket of goods that is suited for their country and covers all of their basic needs. This option accounts for different standards of living, food preferences, cultural differences, and other associated cost variances. This method is proven to work and will ensure workers in every country ELGI expands has a fair wage to support themselves and their families with. With their basic needs met, workers will be able to focus on their job more easily and can be satisfied knowing the company cares for their well-being. To conclude, ELGI should adopt the second solution in order to ensure the wage problem in foreign countries is solved. If adopted, the company will be able to increase productivity, give fair treatment and compensation to employees, and protect their reputation. The basket method can be adjusted to any country to meet the specific needs and requirements, and this makes it the most feasible for ELGI Equipment Limited.